Good morning and welcome to my show. I'm your host, Danny Graham, and I both invite and encourage you to walk with me on the road to wisdom. Come on, y'all. Let's walk. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday, November the 29th. And bruh, yesterday it was COLD, cold. I know some people that's in the north in Canada and at those countries up there is like, man, this ain't nothing. It was like 30 something. Well, I think 39 degrees last night I was working. But hey, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of cold weather. So anything under 40 and definitely going back towards the teens and stuff, I don't like it. And I think this morning is gonna be just as cold. But guess what? That's what the Lord made coats for and a heater in your truck. So I have my heater on going to work and I have my coat on too. Thank you for coming in today. Today the word, as you can see, is boom, resilience. Resilience is the word of the day. And let's go ahead and get right into it. The definition of resilience is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. Let me say that one more time. The definition of resilience is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. The scripture about resilience comes today from 1 Corinthians, the 9th chapter, and the 24th verse, and it says, do you know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a way to get that prize. Say that one more time. I like that. 1 Corinthians, 9th chapter, 24th verse. Do you know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run in such a manner to get that prize. Resiliency, boy, I'll tell you, resiliency is a word. It is something that all humans have to use and tap into at one time. It's something that you can learn. You don't are not necessarily born with it, but it's definitely something that you can learn to be resilient. I want to tell you a story that I read that's gonna, I think, explain this story, explain the word, and hammer home the point I'm trying to get across. There's this doctor. His name was Dr. Epstein, and he was this world-renowned doctor, physician, and he came back to his hometown to give a speech, and he was beloved by friends and family. He had this big speech talking about a particular subject, and as he went to the auditorium and he was walking onto the stage, he had some papers in his hand. And he was going to have his notes and stuff, and as he put it on the podium, they slid off. Well, he bent down to pick it up, and as he bent down, he accidentally let out gas, flatulence. So that by itself is not a bad thing, but when he bent over, he aimed towards a microphone, and as he let out that gas, it reverberated through the whole auditorium. I'm just making a sound effect. So he was mortified, but he was able to compose himself, went through with the speech, and as soon as he finished his speech, he walked off the stage, left town, never looked back. He was gone for decades, not years, but decades. 10 years, 1 decade, 2 years, decade. He was gone for over 2 decades. Finally, he decided to come back to that town because his mother was ill. She was greatly ill, but he was so embarrassed, he never went back until his mother was ill. So when he came back to visit his mother, he came in the nighttime. He didn't come in the daytime. He came in the nighttime. He didn't go to a house. He checked in a motel, but he checked in under a different name. So as he was checking in, he was talking to the clerk, and the clerk asked him, "Hey, have you ever been here before?" He said, "Yeah, a long, long time ago." He said, "But something happened. I was so embarrassed that I could never show my face here again. So I just come back because I'm having an illness in the family." And the clerk was a young man. He said, "Well, I found in my young life that just because something happened, you think it's so bad, a lot of times it's very bad in your mind, but in other people's mind, they don't even think about it or even remember it." He said, "Yeah, I know that's true in some cases, but in this case, what I did, I think that's not the case. That a lot of people remember it, and I just didn't want to face that." He said, "So when did this happen? Did it happen recently, a long time ago?" He said, "It happened a long, long time ago." He said, "Did it happen before or after the Epstein fart?" And so Dr. Epstein just looked at him and he went on about his business. But that example I gave is that, yes, sometimes things will be just as bad as you think they are. Sometimes people will remember things. Sometimes you do something that is so bad that people will be like, oh, Lord, you remember that? You remember this? And it is bad. But guess what? You have to be resilient. Resiliency will get you through that, even though things are bad, even though you think things are going your way. Resilience will get you through that. And being resilient doesn't mean that you won't feel pain. You're going to feel that pain. You're going to feel that embarrassment. You're going to feel that shame, whatever. But that's when you got to tap in to that main source of strength. And y'all know what I'm talking about. That's when you got to pray and ask God, Lord, get me through this. Give me the resilience. Give me the energy. Give me the intestinal fortitude to face this problem and get past it. There's no way you can avoid the pain, but it does mean that you will have the strength to get through tough times. You're gonna live to fight another day. That's basically what resilience is. Now, there are different types of resilience that we're going to cover, and we're going to talk about 4 different types of resilience. And the first one is physical resilience, and that is basically the body's capacity to arise to physical challenges and maintain stamina and recover efficiently and effectively when damaged. That's like, let's say, for instance, you get an accident. A lot of times, you get an accident, a younger person sometimes is more resilient than an older or elderly person. And that's because your body is stronger, it's working in a more efficient capacity. And a lot of times, but it depends on that person, just how in shape you are, how strong your immune system is, because some diseases affect people differently. Some people are more resilient than others physically. Now, a doctor once told me this, and I don't believe it. Well, I ain't gonna say I don't believe it, but I will never ever test it. There were a few years ago, I'm not sure the exact, probably about 20 years ago, when HIV and AIDS was running rampant. And if you heard somebody had that disease, it was a death sentence because it was taking people out left and right. But now it has so much medical advances. If you know anybody familiar with Magic Johnson, he was diagnosed with that, and I think in the 90s, and he's living a very productive life. And I think one time I heard in an article I read that it's not even detectable in his system anymore. So they have medicines and different medical procedures and practices and stuff that you can do to cope with that. This doctor told me in a conversation, he said, you could have intercourse with someone who is HIV positive, and if your immune system is strong enough, you won't even catch it. And I was like, that don't sound like any kind of theory that anybody with any kind of common sense want to try. But that's what the doctor told me. So I'm assuming that he's a doctor. He knows what he's talking about. But he told me that was years ago. And this he said like when HIV was at its most feared and seemed to be taking everybody that we ever heard had it was a death sentence. So I guess he knew what he's talking about because now you see it on commercials. Several people are living with it, and they have these medicines that can not prevent it, but it can cope with it and make it so almost undetectable in your system. So I guess he knew what he was talking about back then. But like I said, that's just a form of physical resiliency. That sometimes things that may hurt me, like a cold or a flu or pneumonia or something, someone may be exposed to that same disease, that same virus, whatever the case may be, and may be able to fight it off. Same way with the coof, people we had years ago. Some people had to take these inoculations and that we call it the stab and stuff because that disease was just going around rampant and it was taking people out. But some people are more resilient. Some people build up antibodies and immunity to it. There's this thing called herd immunity when a lot of people, the whole herd or population, so to speak, is exposed to it, and then they develop an immunity, then that passes it on, and then that strengthens your immune system. So physical resilience is one example of resilience. Second one is mental resilience. And mental resilience basically is thinking flexibly, being able to weigh your options, consider alternatives, conceptualizing step by step means to reach a goal, understanding different perspectives, creative problem solving. And what I'm going to show you about this, I know it's a fictional character, but this right here, mental resilience, is Batman. Batman says, everything's impossible until someone does it. That's a quote by Batman. I saw this in the store. I said, yeah, I got to get this. I just hadn't put it on my wall yet. But everything's impossible until somebody does it. Batman is an example of mental resilience. Batman, as you know, I'll give you a quick story on this, was Bruce Wayne. He was walking from the movie theaters with his parents, Martha and God, what's his dad name? Can't think of his dad now. Martha Kent. I think Jonathan. No, Martha. Bruce. What is Bruce Wayne's daddy name? God, I can't think of it. But Martha's his mom's name. But anyway, he was walking from the movie theater with his parents, and they were attacked or mugged or being robbed, and they called Crime Alley. And they took a shortcut from the theater, walking down this alley. Man wanted to take their money and take his mother's pearls. And I think the father, kind of Thomas Wayne, Thomas and Martha, and he tried to resist. And the man shot the daddy and he shot the mama and killed him right in front of Bruce Wayne eyes. That traumatized him so much. When he grew up, he started going across the world. He learned every form of martial arts combat, hand-to-hand combat, strategist. He trained his mind. He became resilient. Batman he's the world's greatest detective. He's the world's greatest escape artist. He's one of the world's greatest. He can disguise himself. He knows all different forms of language. He has a working knowledge of all kind of theories. If you watch Batman movies, it shows a different skill set he has. On top of being a billionaire, he is very, very, very mentally resilient. A lot of people in life like that too. I call it mental toughness. You have to have mental toughness to do certain things in life. One thing that really helped improve my mental toughness, I went to Marine Corps USMC, URA, and guess what? It makes you mentally tough. If you can survive the boot camp, what I went through now, I heard boot camp is kind of watered down. I don't know. I'm not talking bad about Marine Corps because it definitely was a positive look for me and positive thing in my life. But I'll tell you, when I went through it, it really challenges you mentally because there are a lot of things, man. Drill instructors, man, they're there to break you down from your civilian thought process and then to inputting you the Marine Corps process. When you buy into that and when you learn to that, and when your mind and body is one, and you become mentally tough, and then there are different things and different goals that they put in front of you, and as you progress from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, man, when you get done at phase 3, man, you think you can run through a brick wall because they got you so mentally tough and prepared and laser focused. So part of being resilient is being physically resilient. Another aspect of it is mental resilience. Third aspect of being resilient is emotional resilience. Basically, is I am most intrigued by emotional experience because emotional resilience is connected to emotional well-being, emotional awareness, perseverance, acceptance, and optimism. Emotional resilience also allows people to find positive things when circumstances seem grim. That's basically the concept and the philosophy of the glass is half full versus the glass is half empty. People that go around and say the glass is always half empty are pretty much negative people, pessimistic. And you want to kind of separate yourself from them because sometimes that stuff can be contagious. So there was a time when I was one of those people like, this. Now I try to be this person. Look, yeah, is it an issue or problem? We're gonna go ahead and get through it. We're gonna find a way. Try to look at things from a positive point of view, and I try to make sure that if something is a problematic, that I research it and that I try to make sure and find a solution. One thing that my sheriff does is like if we have a problem and we bring it to him, he likes for us to bring a solution to or a possible solution. So I'm always trying to get at that. If there's a problem, then I'll bring it to him, make him aware and say, look, we have ABC going on. I think 1, 2, 3 will definitely eliminate or alleviate that problem. And that's the mindset now that I have. And my team works with me. I have a captain, 2 lieutenants, and we try to make sure we put out fires and solve problems and stuff. And so being emotionally resilient is very good. And I mean, you got to keep your emotions in check. But sometimes you want to go off on people. Sometimes you want to let your anger, you got to make sure your anger stay in check. I've gotten very good at keeping my anger in check. There was a time when I got ticked off, I was like a rattlesnake. Now I'm more soft about it and look, take a deep breath. I don't make any kind of decision in anger. If something ticks me off, I'll think about it. I'll get in my truck, go drive or something, or I'll bounce off an idea, or I'll vent to my wife or my friends or someone. Then I make sure that when I have to talk to that person, that individual, or address that problem, it's from a calm perspective. Got to keep your emotions in check. So, physical resilience, mental resilience, emotional resilience. The last resilience is social resilience. The definition of social resilience is stems from connecting with others socially. It may include catching up with a friend, working in a team, networking, or getting involved with community. Social resistance is built on trust, diversity, tolerance, and respect. So you make sure you build a network. Make sure you socialize with people. Make sure that you don't cut yourself off and sometimes be such an introvert. Sometimes you gotta be an extrovert and get out there, man, to build relationships, learn your people, and that way. So whenever you ask them to do something, then they'll do it because they want to help you, not because they feel obligated because of your rank or because of your position. That you develop a relationship, and I think I have a pretty good relationship with the people that I work with. We laugh and joke and cut up and stuff. So, but part of being resilient socially is just making sure that you don't keep that introvert side of it. Make sure that there are times when you get out there with your people, you help them out. If they need help, you get out there and you roll your sleeves up and you pushing that rock up the hill just like they are. When they see their leader, their supervisor doing the same things they're doing, I think that builds a rapport, that builds a social network, and that builds a bonding relationship. But you got to make sure that you don't get too high up there that you feel like you're too good to do this, that, and the other. That's when it can kind of turn people off. Just make sure you stay social with your people, man. When you walk in, say good morning, man, have a conversation. Sometimes maybe go eat lunch together and that kind of stuff, or with your friends, with your wife. It ain't got to be people that you work with. It can be your family. It can be a lone friend that you hadn't talked to in a while. Just make that connection, especially with people in every aspect of your life, at church, at work, wherever you go, people you meet. Make sure you have a good social, be social about it, and don't be such an introvert. Those are the four different types of resilience. And of course, the word resilient, I will say again, is the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulties. Before I get out of here, I want to say this quote, and the quote for the day is: "Whatever is in me is stronger than what is out there to defeat me." I definitely like that. That needs to be put on a t-shirt. Whatever is in me is stronger than what is out there to defeat me. So you got to make sure you dig down deep. Make sure when things get tough, you don't quit. You do not quit. You keep going. Now, if this is the first time you ever view my channel, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe. I'm going to ask you to please hit that notification bell because I don't want you to miss any material that I upload here in the future. Also, I'm going to ask you to leave a comment. If you leave a comment, I will definitely read it and I will definitely get back to you. I'm going to ask you to watch my video in its entirety from start to finish. And also give me a like. Like helps with YouTube algorithm. I am about to get out of here and get dressed, go to work, getting this cold. I'm going to have a good and productive day. I know I am. I thank you all for checking me out and watching the show, and I'll be back on Friday morning. Until then, have an outstanding day and peace.